Again, as the title of this video suggests, actually it's probably down here, I have moved to Los Angeles. This is my fourth move in 3 years from Virginia. And then I lived in Colorado in 2020, Hawaii in 2021, world trip, 22 countries in 2022, and 2023 has brought me to Los Angeles. Los Angeles, the city of angels. What brought me here? How's life going? How are things doing with me in the Mahna world? I have written down your questions in my Tony Robbins notebook, Change Your Story, Change Your Life. And in today's casual iPhone video in my new bedroom, I'm going to be answering these questions and also giving you a lot of insight behind the scenes and hopefully inspiration and motivation on the real life of a full-time content creator. I hope you walk away from this video with inspiration. And without further ado, let's dive in. So the first question is, why did you move to Los Angeles? So being a content creator and having it that my job is basically virtual, it's online, I could live basically anywhere in the world. And so for many, that would make it almost impossible to decide because that's decision paralysis. When you have so many options, how do you make a decision? It's something, honestly, a lot of the world is struggling with these days, but something that my mentor, Tony Robbins, always preaches that I have learned so much from is that the most successful people are able to decide quickly, but then change and course correct quickly as well if something is not working. And if they realize that like they've tried it and they've put in their all, and what it comes from ultimately and goes down to is that alignment with that gut instinct, that inner voice and that inner knowing that's guiding you towards what's most aligned for you or not. And so for me, it started in the fall. And so I was traveling to some countries, some places in Europe, some cities that I saw myself possibly interested in living in. Barcelona, Portugal, London, England was an example, some places that I was considering, and even Italy. I was looking into digital nomad visas. And then I went to the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within event, and I started getting so many signs that were pointing me towards Los Angeles. So it started being placed onto my heart, especially with the protests of everything that's going on in Iran right now, with Iranian women fighting for a voice and fighting for freedom and fighting for the option to choose. And I similarly found myself at this parallel. I had just hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. I'd crushed my financial goals. I was living freely and in alignment and just experiencing so much abundance. And I was like, okay, I can feel guilt and let that guilt paralyze me and make me small, or I too can use this privilege and use this blessing, use what I've been blessed with to be a blessing for others. And so that's the perspective and route I decided to start to take, to use my voice to be a speaker, to be a symbol, to be a sign of inspiration and hope for those out there who may need it, specifically Iranian women who, myself being 100% Iranian, definitely resonate with and feel my heart with, and I want to inspire others to find that courage, step into the courage that's within them, that each and every single one of us has, to unleash and live and create your most extraordinary life. And so I started meeting motivational speaker after person, after friend that was just guiding me towards LA. And then eventually I met an LA angel, my friend Amanda, who had just moved to LA. That brought me here. So many just crazy coincidence after coincidence, which now I look back and I realize nothing is a coincidence. When you are living in alignment, things will start to line up in ways that blow your mind at first, but then you eventually start to be like, okay, this makes sense because I am living in alignment with my truth. And when you're living in that alignment, like I wish I could explain to you guys this sort of flow state, fast track, like highway of alignment type feeling. Like it just feels like this magical wave is overtaking you and you're like riding the wave, but it's like alignment. So it's like, yes, there are going to be points on the wave that drop you down, but then like it's almost like a propeller for just even more alignment. And that's what my whole journey has felt like. So I spent the month of January here, and then I spent the month of May here, and then officially drove across the country from Virginia, where I was born and raised, to Santa Monica, Los Angeles, California. And just, it's amazing. amazing. Like the community of creatives, the diversity of nature, from the ocean being just right there to the mountains, to the desert, to beautiful waterfalls, to quick flights to my favorite place in the world, Hawaii, and so much of that entrepreneurial creative energy. It's really feels like just a place of dreamers and creation and like really abundance for me, as opposed to Washington, D.C., where I grew up, which I'm very grateful for the structure and stability and security of the lifestyle. It almost feels like a place where dreams are crushed and there's just this like box lifestyle that everyone is living in. And if you try to be outside of that box, this is a box, not a rectangle, then you're crazy and your dreams aren't believed in. This is the biggest thing that stood out for me. If I would share a dream with someone in Virginia, in Washington, D.C., they'd be like, haha, you're crazy. If I would share that same dream with someone in Los Angeles, they'd be like, yes, I'm rooting for you. Let's find a way to make that happen and inspire others and let's do it. Like, that's amazing. And so that's the energy that really, really spoke to me, that drew me here. Up next, a lot of people ask, so I wrote down some of my most commonly asked questions from my DMs and I want to answer them here for you. And so one of them is how to move or / like change physically, like your location. And so obviously like that's something that I've done a lot in the past few years, gone to different places that feel aligned, Colorado, Hawaii, and now California. And each one of those times, yes, it's really, really scary to uproot your whole life, basically, because what we do as humans is in our minds, we get so attached to this sort of safety net, this thermostat, as Tony Robbins calls it. So it's the thermostat you set your life at, which say it's like 70 degrees, and you believe you're a 70-degree person in your mind. And then anytime you try to upgrade your life, for example, move to a place that is on your heart, or talk to a new person, or maybe apply for a new job, and that's a reach for you, like you may be fully qualified, you may be fully capable, you may apply yourself to do it and try to get to that 75 degree of like, yes, living a higher, like better, more aligned life. But if you, in your mind and your heart, don't raise your vibrational frequency to believe that you're a 75-degree person, then you will eventually self-sabotage yourself and bring yourself back down to that 70 degree. And so that's something with moving to different places. I've realized that like that comfort and that security net and that safety net of what we're sort of ingrained with in society's view is something that's so comfortable to stay at, and you can stay in that comfort your whole life. Or a lot of people, especially in your late 20s, early 30s, like that transition midlife crisis, or even like quarter life crisis, or even midlife crisis for around 50 years old, is where people reach that stage where it's like, I feel this pull within me. You feel you're at this conjunction point in your life where you want to make a change, and you feel every single part of you is pulling you from the inside to make a change, but you're like, but my life is comfortable, my life is secure, and this is where my life is at. Then you will almost like self-sabotage more to stay in that comfort than to go outside of your comfort zone. Like, this is the biggest thing. Think of yourself at the end of your life. So you reach the end of your life, you get a playback of your whole life, you get to watch a movie of how it all went, and you realize, you see a vision then after that of what your fullest potential could have been, who you could have stepped into at the end of your life, who you could have been. And then realizing that when you were 27 years old, you played it small and you were too scared to make that move that every single part of you on your heart was telling you. That to me is terrifying. And I've spoken to way too many older mentors and older people who have shared their regrets with me of not going for their goals and their dreams because of that fear, because of that comfort, because of that fear of judgment of others that was holding them back. So don't rob yourself of what your fullest potential, what your most aligned, what your most growth and just fullest, most abundant version of you could be from living in that fear state. You owe it to yourself to follow your heart, because here's the thing. I don't think anything, any voice or calling that comes onto your heart, any goal or dream that's placed within you, it's not there by accident. It's placed within you specifically for a reason. It's given to you. And I truly believe that it's your goal and your quest and almost your destiny to take the steps towards realizing that and serving and stepping up in that way. And ultimately, hey, you may make that move physically. You may go to a new place and it may be the worst time. You may, for the first time in your life, experience loneliness, experience having to make new friends, experience having to get a new neighborhood. But you know what you will gain from that? You will gain learning how to put yourself out there and talk to new people. You will gain the neuroplasticity of building new pathways in your brain, of getting used to a new place and getting used to learning about new people and putting yourself out there and extending yourself and growing. Every single thing that happens to you in your life, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you, as Tony Robbins always says. Your thoughts create your reality, so choose wisely and follow what that alignment in your heart is. That's my biggest location for how to move and then physically change your location. It's honestly mindset, as you can see. Like physically, how to do it is be minimalistic, this is basically all I own. Cut down what you have or only bring the essentials. If you have a storage somewhere, leave it in there for a while and then pack your car and make that move. The song that I really love that always speaks to my soul is Scare Away the Dark by The Passengers. And it really, the music video especially, is really beautiful about putting life into perspective and really just living in alignment with nature and realizing what's important in our lives. So I strongly recommend checking that song out. And then the next one is how to decide and act. Okay, so here's the biggest thing for basically how I make all of my decisions and act on them is I hold myself accountable that I want to be my best friend and I want to be my biggest supporter so that when I'm showing up authentically for me, I can show up authentically for the other people in my life. So how do you make a decision and act on it? Well, if you're going to make a promise to someone, you're not going to let go of that promise. So you're not going to let that person down, right? And so when you make a promise to yourself, when you set that goal, that date on the calendar, and you're going to do everything you can to hold yourself accountable for making that action happen, that's the sort of mindset that you can look at it with that my friend Michelle Stelly inspired me with, that mindset of setting that goal, setting that decision that you want it for yourself, and you feel aligned inside, and it's going to ultimately lead to the most aligned version of you, which leads to the most aligned version of you showing up in the world and in society, and eventually raising the vibrational frequency of the world, and it's good for all. That's how you can know that that's an aligned decision for you. Okay, and then the other one, a lot of questions revolving around fear, like how to get past the fear of showing up specifically with building an online brand or an online business or being an influencer. So here's the thing, that fear aspect will always be there. It's like a part of our brains. The way our brains were developed basically was living out, always having to be cautious and careful of the animals that were out there that were trying to hunt us. And we had to sort of have this flight or fight survival mode on in our brains to look out behind our backs to be like, oh, are we safe? Are we being eaten? But nowadays, our brains will still try to act in that way. And here's the thing, if you live a life of fear, that fear will manifest into disease, holding you back, or immune disease. So many diseases can manifest from living in a state of fear. And the best thing that you can do is switch that fear for faith. Faith is something that will pull you and bring you up and inspire you rather than a feeling of fear, which will drag you down and make you small and make you feel like you're less. And on those days that you're really feeling overcome by that fear, I recommend having practices that can really help with pulling yourself out of that situation. So for example, try out a bunch of different outdoor wellness and movement activities. And so what I've found works for me is yoga, hiking, and now surfing. So I got my first wetsuit here and I went for my first surf session in California and it was amazing, just so amazing. There were dolphins swimming with us and it was just so meditative and peaceful to be out in the water. And I wasn't cold at all with this wetsuit. It's from Billabong. Yeah, so that's a little mini tangent of finding something that I'm passionate about that sparks me up inside. And you can see it in someone's eyes when they're living a life that they're passionate about, that they love to share with others. And also journaling. So the act of just getting things out of your head and onto paper will help you so much with processing that fear and processing what was holding you back. And so that's my biggest advice. And obviously I could talk on this forever. It's something that I'm so passionate about. I spend all of my free time reading books, listening to podcasts, going to events, talking to inspiring people on these mindset topics, because ultimately it all comes down to the people around you, your 5 closest friends or that mindset type thing, or if it's virtual for you, even it comes down to the movies that you watch, the music that you listen to, the type of books that you read. Just what you're intaking and telling your brain is what you will believe is possible for your reality. So you create your reality. As Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows, and Joe Dispenza's work, all of his books prove the same. We are a product of our thoughts, the particles, the limitless possibilities that exist in the quantum realm. And then what we think and truly believe is then what we create. And so really choose those thoughts wisely. Whenever you catch yourself slipping, have a go-to list, like a playbook that you can go to and be like, wait, I'm going to switch this and I'm going to pull myself out of this. The best coaches in the world have coaches. The best athletes in the world have coaches. Like, you want a step-by-step ability to pull yourself out of it, let yourself feel those feelings, recognize, oh, fear is here, but I'm going to pull myself out. I hope that that's helpful for you. I'm loving being here in Los Angeles so far. Oh, and this outfit right here that I've got is for, maybe you can guess already, but it's for the Barbie movie. So I'm going to an event on Wednesday with Bessa Wines and Warner, and it's all about the Barbie movie. So I'm really excited. There's going to be like a fashion show and a DJ and dancing. And so I'm going to that with a couple of friends, and I'm also going surfing a bit this week, and I'm creating something that I am so excited about. I'm pouring my entire heart and soul into this. It's something that feels so aligned. And for those of you who are watching until the end of this video, this is what it is. So I am teaming up with Kajabi as part of their Creator Incubator program, and I'm creating a course and ultimately a program to guide you towards living your most extraordinary life. So to instill within you a framework to have the courage to create and live your most extraordinary life. This is something that I've been researching and talking about and truly going into the mindset of successful people who have created their most extraordinary aligned lives. And now I'm so excited to not only be taking it from my experience, but from the experience of what I've observed of mentors and people around me, and building this framework to give to you so that you can also build and live your most extraordinary life. I'm genuinely so excited about this. It really feels like what I was put on this planet to do. Every single part of me is just like lit up and so amped about this opportunity to even get to impact one person's life in a positive way, to shape and transform your life. Is just like, whenever I get those DMs from you guys that my words have impacted you, it makes me cry, because it's like real, and it's love, and it's heart, and it's the ultimate act of service. And so that's what I'm working on. And so I'm going to make a day in the life video one day this week of just like what my new life looks like here in LA. And yeah, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mahna Ghafori, and here's to living your most extraordinary life. Bye.